I thought I'd create a more focused, comprehensive guide on how to fully cure hard flaccid, also known as prostatitis. I know there's nuances and difference between them, but I want to emphasize if you are over the acute bacterial phase of prostatitis, it has now become a muscular issue. You're not going to cure it with antibiotics. Don't fall into this loop where you need to hit it 3-4 times with rounds of antibiotics for it to completely go away. There is no easy cure to this. You're going to have to put in work. You cannot expect to cure hard flaccid by stuff like surgery, which people are doing nowadays, nerve blocks, taking an SSRI. All of these, ironically, too, these easy way outs that people think is going to cure them, it actually just puts them in the pit even further because antibiotics, you're going to get floxed if you start taking the very strong antibiotics like Cipro. Surgery, I see countless stories of guys getting just weird conditions months later and having huge flare-ups right after the surgery. They have this little grace period where it's maybe 4 to 6 weeks till like 3 months before some weird condition from the surgery just pops up. Nerve blocks and Botox, people just flare up off that. Many people say their hard flaccid gets worse. So do not go these routes. You're going to spend a lot of money to go nowhere to possibly even make your condition worse. Now, having said that, if you're in the acute phase of this, I congratulate you for finding this video, for being proactive about fixing this, because you really want to fix this before it becomes chronic. In mainstream science, will categorize a condition as chronic if it's 3 months or more you had the condition. Some say as early as 6 weeks. However, there is a little leeway with this condition, in my opinion, where if you're young, say below the ages of 23, maybe 24, I would argue you have up to possibly 2 years where it becomes much easier to cure this. Once it becomes chronic is when it takes so much more effort to try and get rid of this. The body's used to being in this tense state. It's used to having hard flaccid. It's very hard to get out of that. If you're over 30, I would say there's maybe a 6-month grace period for you. But yeah, if you're young, if you didn't mess yourself up too much, you have about 2 years before I say it starts to become a condition where it's really tough to get rid of. Now, having said that, guys, you need to go all in on this. If you give this a dedicated 2 years to everything I'm going to list in this video, I can assure you 80% of you guys are going to 100% cure yourself. If I'm wrong, if you really gave it your all and you gave it 110% and you still didn't fix yourself after 2 years, you could come back on this video, tell me I'm full of it. But I will challenge anyone, if you give it your all, if you do everything implemented in this video, you will look back on this condition as just a terrible time in your life, a bad memory, but you finally got your life back. Okay, so the first step, the thing that this all, in my opinion, revolves around, you're never going to recover unless you implement this one thing, is to quit inflicting trauma onto your already traumatized penis. It is beaten up, it is bruised. Mine would straight up turn purple after I masturbated. So after some time, this was a clear indication to me, hey, maybe I should stop masturbating. And so that's what I did. I only did this one thing that I talk about in this video, despite seeing cures from all these other treatments that I'm going to discuss. And that's why I think they're valid treatments. But all I did was I went on a 2.5-year Nofap streak. And within 1.5 years, I cured it, just doing nothing but never touching my penis except to pee. It was at about 20 months when there was just no doubt in my mind. I am completely over this. I had 5 wet dreams this week. I had 0 flare-ups from it at all. I'm still spongy. I'm not turtling back in. There's no indication I have hard flaccid at all. 0 pain, 0 discomfort, 0 dysfunction. So yeah, guys, it takes some time. I know a lot of people hate hearing this, that to cure yourself, you have to stop fapping. And it's because, like, when you tell someone to stop fapping, one, a lot of people got this from fapping, such as myself. And so for you to tell an addict, because honestly, we're addicts. If you reached a point where a body part of yours is dysfunctional and it no longer works as it did before, there were probably warning signs telling you to stop, and we continue to reach a point till we got hard flaccid. That's an addict. We kept going at it despite seeing clear consequences for what we were doing. And 2, it's putting the onus on the individual that part of this condition is not you're some cursed individual. You're not some unfortunate guy who got this because he deadlifted wrong or anything. Part of it is saying, hey, you did this to yourself. And a lot of people, that's a brutal pill to swallow for them. But I've also noticed there's many who are receptive to this idea because a lot of you guys truly understand that you got this from masturbation. You did this to yourself, whether it was edging for hours at a time or simply you had a masturbation habit for 20 years and you're self aware enough to realize how many muscles contract when you orgasm, how probably doing that daily, day in and day out for decades is probably not good for you. It's probably going to tighten your muscles up and wound you up so hard. We could even talk about the nervous system component, where this is putting you in a sympathetic state because of the increase in prolactin and other excitatory hormones that spike after an orgasm, especially if you watch porn with it too. And so you got to be on this very regimented, no-fap routine where for 2 years, guys, 2 years, you are not going to touch your penis at all unless it's to pee. I know there's many people on the forums on Reddit who say stuff like, oh yeah, well, I did it for 7 months and it did nothing for me. Yeah, me too. Me too. I was on 7 months and I would get a wet dream and it'd flare me up for the next 3 to 4 weeks. But I stuck to my convictions. I knew this was the answer to it. And what happened is at 1.5 years of Nofap, I think I reached this breakthrough, this threshold point where suddenly like a flip switched on and my body just went on full recovery mode. And I can't explain it. It's a real phenomena though, where things happen in life and it happens very slowly at a snail's pace. And then suddenly all at once, all the progress, 95% of the progress just comes in the blink of an eye. There's a great quote to exemplify this. It's something along the lines of, there are decades where nothing happens and there are weeks where decades happen. And this is what happened to me. Sure, I saw some progress initially, maybe 3 to 4 months in, where the pain went away, but I still had this hard flaccid condition. I still would get pain if I had a wet dream. And all of that took 1.5 years for me to reach this point where it just stopped doing that. So don't expect 3, 4, 5 months of Nofap to fix you, especially if you've been fapping for half of your life, if not more. There's a great saying that if you walk 10 miles to get to the center of a forest, do you expect to walk out of that forest within only 1 mile? So it applies to this. Don't think, oh, I fapped for 15 years. It's going to take me 15 years of Nofap to get out of this. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying give it a dedicated 2 years and I assure you, you are going to see so much progress. I mean, think about it logically. I always like to give this pitcher analogy that when a professional baseball pitcher gets injured, he completely stops pitching. He doesn't continue to throw 300 pitches a day like he did before. He rests, he rehabilitates. Sometimes he's out the whole season and he accepts this, but he'd rather be out the season than his entire career. This is what's happening to you guys. You are giving yourself 10, 15 minutes of pleasure and are sacrificing your life for it. So stop it already. Quit doing this to yourself. I see so many men who can cure this, but they just don't want it bad enough. And they give me all these excuses, all these, oh, well, you don't know, I have it worse than you, or you shouldn't say you can cure this by this way. I cured it this way. This is what I did. I can stand here on the podium and say, this is what I did to cure it. If you're not cured, you cannot tell me this will not cure you, especially if you haven't given it your all for this. If you really stick to this and it didn't work for you, then you could come back and tell me I'm full of shit. But until then, I don't want to hear any excuses about this. The only ones who are going to get cured are the ones who want to fix themselves. I assure you that. All right, so treatment number 2 is another polarizing treatment that a lot of people don't like to hear, but I've seen it cure so many people. I've seen it in so many success threads where a lot of people emphasize this is the thing that cured me, and it's shifting their nervous system from going from a sympathetic wired state into parasympathetic rest and relaxation. Again, a lot of people hate hearing this because it puts the onus on you. And I think there's a bit of a miscommunication. I think people conflate it to mean that this condition's all in your head. No, this condition's very real. It's very physical. There's real physical components to this. So that's not what I'm saying at all. But I've noticed that the guys who are able to relax, the guys who are able to have a clear head about this condition, who don't spend all their time on internet forums just sitting there all day arguing with people about this condition, they're the guys who cure themselves. Your brain really rewires itself. So if you're stuck in this doom and gloom state, you're never going to cure yourself. I see so many men on the forums who are so angry at not just themselves, but at others who just spew this hatred out of their mouth, they're the guys who are going to have this for decades and never cure it. And don't twist what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the guys who unfortunately already have this for decades are hateful individuals. I'm saying that if you're a hateful individual, you are more likely to have this for decades because you are just not going to break out of this terrible mental state that's not doing you any good and just keeping you in this fight or flight. And a lot of the pelvic floor is very receptive to your nervous system state. You can look at subreddits like r/pelvic floor, where a lot of people understand this. A lot of people intuitively know, or maybe any other chronic health condition subreddit. And the only ones who are able to cure themselves are the guys who understand that you got to find a way to relax. This world is crazy. It's bombarding you every day with stimuli to either make you hate fellow man or to hate yourself and feel inadequate. So you got to find a way to relax. Everyone's different. Some people like breathing exercises. Other people like therapy, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy to help them get out of that loop that they're in. I think you should maybe look into acupuncture. I think acupuncture helps a lot for relaxation. I haven't used it for this condition, but I used it for a weightlifting injury that I had before. And I never expected acupuncture to help me on a physical plane or like unwind tight muscles. But I said, I'm going to go all in on this. I'm going to just completely buy into it, even if for the moment. And I went and it was a great experience. I came out of it feeling 20 pounds lighter. I just went there. I really opened up to the doctor. She trained in traditional Chinese medicine in China. She was very motherly. So I kind of viewed this as almost a mother-son relationship where I saw her as like my mom, where if I was injured or something, of course, a mom wants to nurse you back to health. So I had this great mindset going into it. And she did this thing called Qigong, I think is what it's called, after she put the acupuncture needles on me, which really relaxes you, by the way. I was like borderline falling asleep while this is all happening, which might have helped because it puts you more in a susceptible state to penetrate your subconscious. And as she was doing the Qigong next to my table I was laying on, I just imagined this cocoon, this golden cocoon surrounding me. And every time she moved her arms and swayed her arms in this flow-like state, I imagined her just transferring some of her energy, just nourishing me in this motherly way. And that's what I'm saying. I walked out of it feeling 20 pounds lighter. And that really broke me out of that hopeless cycle that I was in when I had a weightlift injury, thinking, oh, my life is never going to be the same. Am I ever going to get my life back? And that's what I needed. I needed that hope. And that was so powerful because that was the first step toward me taking other steps to fully rehabilitate. So that's what I'm saying, guys. You need to find something to relax you completely, and you need to go all in on all of this. Because if I took a half measure, if I went into acupuncture being all skeptical, then I would have walked out of it having it done nothing for me, you know? It was the fact that I was willing to let go. I was willing to let go of all this preconceived notions I have about acupuncture, let go of this idea in my head that I'm a data-driven guy. I need to see studies for it. I need to see the numbers for it. And I just decided, you know what? There's a lot of anecdotal success stories when it comes to this. I'm going to fully buy into it. And it really worked well for me. And so find that thing for you. I do suggest acupuncture. I mean, find someone skilled in your area. Find someone who studied in China. And most importantly, find someone who you connect with. Maybe they're really skilled, but you just find them kind of cold or just don't connect with them. I think a lot of treatment with a trained professional for anything, PT or this, it's finding that person that you connect to, because then you could really open up. Then you can really go along with everything they suggest and give it 110% without that skeptical mind. And I actually hope now, saying that for this video, that you find me that way, because guys, I really hope that you guys implement everything I'm saying. I truly believe when I say give it 2 years, 110% and give this your all, that 80% of you guys are going to get 100% cured and get your life back. And I want that for you. I understand how terrible this condition is to live with and how it affects all aspects of your life, how discouraging it is. So take this very seriously. Make your conviction strong. Make your desire to get your life back stronger than that 10 to 15 minutes of self-pleasure that you get from fapping, or that desire to be hateful and to hate fellow man or talk crap on the internet. Let that all go. All right, I think I really drove that home. So now going on to the third thing is doing physical therapy / strengthening and stretching. Back when I was researching this condition in 2020, this was the new craze. Everyone moved on from antibiotics. Everyone accepted you're never going to cure yourself through antibiotics. So everyone moved on to strengthening and stretching. There were guys like this guy named Uptown Mike on YouTube, which was kind of funny when people made guides or how to cure yourself. They always reference do Uptown Mike stretches. He was just a regular guy. Like, he wasn't a physical therapist or anything. He's a guy who went to physical therapy. And so that's why I'm saying part of this journey, you do have to go to physical therapy, because even if you know what the stretches to do are, you're not going to know how to do them correctly. And that is very important, especially in my opinion, for stretching. For strengthening, it's one thing, but I've actually gotten worse through stretching when I didn't know what I was doing. I would do a butterfly stretch way too hard, or I do rising cobra or whatever it is, the ab stretch where you're like on your stomach and kind of going up. And both of those made me worse for 2 months after, because I overdid them. I didn't know what I was doing, and I had just so much trouble urinating and using the restroom after. Both of those, especially, for some reason, maybe the muscles they're connected to really affect urination and using the restroom, and I was just in more pain for 2 months after. Don't go to these like McDonald's, factory farm physical therapy clinics where they put a heat pack on you and they're like, okay, the assistant's going to come back in 10 minutes and he'll have you do these stretches. No, those places suck. You're never going to get help from those places. You're never going to get the level of support that you need. Find a place where either it's a private practice, which, yeah, it's going to be some money. But hey, it beats spending like, what, $5K plus for a surgery that's going to leave you worse off. But find a place where the guy's trained. In my opinion, find a place that has functional manual therapy. This means the guy is trained to break up tight muscles and fascia using either his fingers or tools such as, like, I think my guy told me it's like a Thai massage stick or something. It's literally just a black stick made out of some hard material. I don't know fully. And he just goes in there and it's so painful. He's breaking up tight fascia, really digging in, but it helps so much. I did this for my weightlifting injury. They're going to do this mostly on your abdomen area. I've heard of people getting internal work, which basically means a physical therapist sticking their finger up your bum and pressing trigger points, and this helping people a ton. So don't knock it until you try it. I've never tried it personally, but yeah, you want someone who's trained, who's able to break up that tight fascia and kind of reset your body, reset it to stop being in this flared up state, stop having trigger points that's not allowing itself to heal. And after that's done, they'll give you personalized specific corrective exercises to do, whether that's a strengthening exercise and trying to activate a muscle that's inactive and putting you in this weird posture, or giving you some stretches to loosen up tight muscles. And they'll show you exactly how to do it. They'll show you, hey, no, you're not supposed to put your leg like this. Lift this up, do this. That's what you need. Because every time I looked at YouTube and did stretches or strengthening myself, I would say half the time I did it wrong. Other stuff, it came quick. It was intuitive. I knew exactly how to do the exercises. But there were some where even if I thought I was doing it right, I went to PT showing them, hey, I've been doing this. Can you take a look at my form? And they're like, no, you're doing it completely wrong. You're going to hurt yourself if you continue with this. So go to PT. I would spend money to go twice a week for initial maybe 4 to 8 weeks to get them to really break up that fascia, really help you reframe your mind, how you have to have your posture, what muscles to work on. And then I'd probably go once a month, just as a gentle reminder for you to check in with them and see, okay, I do this exercise like this. He says my posture is off here today. Okay, maybe I got to work on this more. This goes miles to help you. I know a lot of people don't like to spend money on this condition, and I know a lot of people can't. I mean, I was young with this condition. I got it around 18 and a half. 19 is when I was really like, okay, I got this hard flaccid thing for sure. And then I cured it when I was 25. But there was this period of maybe 19 to 22 where, yeah, I was in school. I had no money. I was super broke. There was no way for me to go to physical therapy. So unfortunately, there's going to be some of you who can't go to physical therapy. Do your best to just absorb all the information that's out there on YouTube and online to do the stretches and the strengthening exercises correctly. I mean, there's a plethora of information out there. I will say, however, that if you have to leave this section with one thing, do glute bridges. Glute bridges, for some reason, work so well for this condition. It just works everything. You feel so much more stabilized down there. You stand better. It helps you sit better. You just feel strong, like you're getting strength back there. in everything, not just your glutes, but your kind of groin area. So yeah, definitely recommend glute bridges. There was a guy on the forum years ago, this guy named, I think is U/BT Calvitz, something like that. I believe his name was Ben. He was a young kid, got hard flaccid at 17, cured it at 18, decided to dedicate his career toward fixing this. So I really respect the guy a lot. I really respect his empathy for other men with this condition and his willingness to kind of be an advocate for it in the clinical and research realm. However, Ben was missing the key component in this whole picture, and that was the notion that quit inflicting trauma on an already traumatized part of your body. So he was advocating for years that all you have to do is corrective exercises. Everyone's going to get better if they do that. And then when he finally became an assistant or something in a clinic where they were actually working with patients to fix hard flaccid directly, doing all the corrective exercises that he was advocating for, doing all the glute bridges. Eventually, after like a year or two of this, he was saying stuff like, yeah, we're really just not seeing the results that we were kind of hoping for. We're still seeing a lot of success, but it's not the rate that we were really shooting for. And I think it's because he didn't understand that everyone's just got to stop fapping. And I mean, how can, as a doctor or a physical therapist, you tell your patients, hey, did you masturbate last week? Maybe that's why you're not. Like, you can't prescribe that. There's no way to keep people in check on that. And there's no way to really verify, because you can't check blood levels of like, oh, did he fap or did he not fap? I mean, maybe you could look at prolactin or something like that. But yeah, I mean, how can you tell your patients to not fap and hold them accountable to that? There's no method in my mind that can happen. And that's what I believe was happening. That's why his clinic wasn't seeing the result, is because his patients were likely still masturbating. They had hard flaccid. Their penis is crying out to stop abusing it, and yet they're still ejaculating, which is a huge strain on the penis, especially in a hard flaccid state. And so no amount of clamshells or glute bridges was going to fix them. And so that's why I really emphasize again that you are not going to fix this unless you stop masturbating. That is the key to all of this. All of this is accessory stuff. After the first step, this is all accessory. Yes, there were some men who they were able to fix it and solely fixate on maybe the corrective exercises, maybe the relaxation. But I've also noticed that the stories from these men were guys who had the condition for less than 2 years. Anyone who had it 3, 4, 5+ years, anyone 10+ years, you got to stop the masturbation. That's the thing that's holding you back. All right, gonna move on from that. I think we all got the point. Next, I want to talk about some unorthodox ways to approach this situation. Stuff that if you did daily, I do think they'll help. The first one is doing a deep squat daily. I'm talking about the type of squat where you see in an anime where the guy's squatted down, he's smoking a cig, his butt is pretty much touching the floor. You guys know this type of squat that I'm talking about. And don't do it as an exercise, build muscle or anything like that. This is purely a relaxation exercise, because I want you to think about this. Early humans, we had 3 modus of operations. We walked, we lied down, and we squatted. The squatted position was a relaxation position for us to finally stop standing there, finally stop walking. There was no such thing as a chair. A chair is a very unnatural position to be in. And that came many years later after we developed technology to produce it. So originally we would sit in this squatted position. And so I want you to view it like that. I want you to start to do this deep squat. It's going to be very hard for many people. Not a lot of people can do it. Our ankles are too tight. Our hamstrings are too tight. We don't have the core stability to do it. So it's also a good benchmark to work towards while doing your corrective exercises, knowing that, oh, okay, maybe if I strengthen and give more stability to my hamstrings, then I'll finally be able to reach that deep squat position. So it's a great thing to be doing throughout the day. You get up from your computer, you walk around a bit, you get in that deep squat for 30 seconds, then you go back to the computer. There was one guy, his success thread, he really emphasized this and said it just relaxes everything in the pelvic floor, which puts me in a further relaxed state the rest of the day. I'm not clenching anymore. There's more blood flow down there. And I agree with all of that. I really think this could help you a lot. And that leads into the second unorthodox thing I think you should be doing, is to slightly overhydrate. And why I say that is because there's so many men who make threads of them saying, oh, how come when I pee, I no longer have hard flaccid? And pretty much the answer all the time is that, oh, when you pee, your pelvic floor finally relaxes. So the nerves are no longer compressed. There's blood flow going to that area. But as soon as you stop, it turtles back in. And I think utilize that. Use that ability to, if only briefly, relax your pelvic floor. Try to get that to happen as much times during the day as you can. Because this is a key component of physical therapy is if you have an inactive muscle, it's so difficult to turn on a muscle that's been inactive for years. But if you even activate it for say 5 seconds, you create that mind muscle connection where over time it just gets stronger and stronger and you're finally able to use that muscle as it's intended. So I think you can use this for hard flaccid where even that 10 to 15 seconds of peeing gives you that relaxation to give your mind the opportunity to remember this is what it feels like to be relaxed here again. I think that could go a long way. Always sit when you pee. People usually say this only happens when they sit down. If you're in a public place or work, then yeah, just stand. Don't worry about this. Do this only when you're at home. You want this to be another thing that's relaxing because you don't want to be at work and thinking, oh man, to sit, I got to put that thing on and oh, it might be dirty. I got this meeting in like 5 minutes. So it's not going to help you when you're kind of stressed out about it. So I'd only suggest to do this at home in this comfort of your home and to only slightly overhydrate. You don't want to get so overhydrated that you're just dumping minerals and electrolytes. Don't worry too much about electrolytes. I think it's way overblown on the internet these days that if you just drink plain water, you're just pissing out electrolytes. Your body very tightly regulates electrolytes. So no, you don't need to put it in every single glass of water you're drinking. And if you slightly overhydrate, I don't think you're going to screw yourself over. If it really bothers you, just salt your food a bit more and eat maybe like 1 more banana per day for the magnesium and potassium. But yeah, I think if you utilize this will help you a ton. And sorry, I think I said sit while you're peeing. It would actually be even better if you get one of those squatty potties where you kind of squat on your toilet. It puts you in the squat position over your toilet. I think that would be even better for this. So yeah, guys, that's 2 unorthodox things that you can do daily that I think will really help you out over time and just compound into this thing that's really going to relax your pelvic floor over time. Okay, so the 4th step is to walk hours per day. I've seen a thread where a guy said he cured himself walking 3 hours every single day without fail. And obviously he worked up to that. Initially, he started with 20 minutes, then went to 40 minutes, then an hour, and built up over time to 3 hours per day. And I believe it was like 8-9 months that he cured his hard flaccid doing this. A lot of people speculate it's because you're getting so much blood flow to that area from walking, from the increased oxygen intake, from being in this low impact exercise state where not only does it work the muscles, but it also somewhat relaxes them too. Those are all valid takes. I agree with all of those. I also think there's something that science can't fully figure out about walking, but I truly believe that there's something magical to it because I've read of this for other chronic conditions where people think it's incurable. Someone cured it purely by walking hours per day. I think what's happening is walking just gives so much energy to the cell that it overrides any deficit that was leaving you in this disease state that no one could figure out. And again, we could speculate all day of why does it do this? I have no idea. I just know humans were designed to walk. A lot of great thinkers that I respect, they have quotes saying, I came up with this one idea when I walked. All my great ideas come when I walk. Nikola Tesla talked about how he walked like 3 hours per day and how he thinks everyone should start walking. How that's really the only exercise you need. How many of his great ideas come from walking. So yeah, guys, I think this could be a great method for those guys who have the time to walk 3 hours per day. Possibly for the guys who are younger, who don't have the money to go to physical therapy, but they do have the time in their schedule to commit to walking 3 hours per day. This will be great for you. For everyone else, try to get 10,000 steps a day. Despite not being able to walk 3 hours a day, you still need to get your body moving. You still need to walk quite a bit to get blood flow going there, to strengthen some of the muscles, to relax them. A lot of people in their success threads talk about this. They talked about how they increased walking. They stopped sitting so much. They got up from the chair more. They paced around in their house. Whatever you got to do to get those steps in. But I think a long walk really helps too. Something where you're at least out there for 30 minutes, getting a continuous flow state. I also want to chime in too that A lot of people said that swimming helped them. They weren't a big walker, but they got into swimming and they got the same results from swimming. It just really loosened them up, strengthened muscles, and it was a smaller time commitment. Usually people talk about swimming for 1 to 2 hours a day. They're not really doing it for like 3 hours a day. When I had this condition, there was a period where I swam probably 1 to 2 times a week. And I noticed it really gives you a good ab workout just to swim back and forth through the lanes. I just did breaststroke. I hate freestyle. I love breaststroke. I just love that feeling of gliding through. And yeah, I do it for about 40 minutes 1 to 2 times per week. And I noticed every time immediately after I came out of that, my hard flaccid was so relaxed. Like I had long flaccid after I came out of that, which is still not ideal, but it was a step above being in pain all the time and finally seeing my penis being all spongy and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely get your steps in. Consider swimming if you have the option to do that as well. Okay, final treatment that I saw many guys speak on this being the thing that cured them was fixing their gut health. A lot of guys are convinced it's all connected to gut health, that if your gut is inflamed, it's close to so many nerve endings and muscles in your pelvic floor that of course the inflammation is going to travel to it and start to lock everything up and give you hard flaccid. I don't know if I'd fully agree with it to that extent, but I agree that yes, if you eat an anti-inflammatory diet, that is going to do nothing but help you. How is that going to harm you, So clean up your diet. Don't fall into the traps of, oh, I have to eat carnivore. That's the only way to eat anti-inflammatory. Or meat is super inflammatory. I have to eat vegan now. Find what works best for you. If you go on one of those more restrictive diets, I'd keep it to only 3 months at a time. Because let's say, for instance, you eat carnivore, you're getting zero fiber. Your gut needs fiber. You're going to kill off a lot of microbiome if you don't eat fiber, especially if you're one of the guys who took antibiotics. Your microbiome is already damaged because of that. If you go vegan, you're going to be missing a lot of key amino acids and many nutrients like bioavailable iron, B12. Yeah, you can supplement it, but it's really not the same. And of course, there's stuff you don't want to supplement. Like you don't want to supplement iron at all. So experiment around with your diet. If you do one of the more restrictive diets, only keep it to 3 months at most. Find the foods that trigger you. Notice that, oh, every time I drink milk, I seem to flare up. Then don't drink milk. Don't do something because the internet told you, oh, this food's a superfood. But for you, you know that if you eat it for 2-3 days, you're going to flare up super bad. I think all of us truly know deep down the things in our diet that we have to cut out, the things that we have to start adding to it. So don't overcomplicate it. Just develop that self-awareness to realize what you have to change about your diet and really go for it, really stick with it. This is another thing that give it 110%. The worst that happens is you're in better shape. Sure, maybe it did nothing for hard flaccid, but you're in so much better shape, which is going to help you for hard flaccids in many aspects, like having better mental fortitude to do stuff because you're in better shape, being more responsive and getting better results from corrective exercises. You understand what I mean. Okay, I want to bring up something that I probably would have included this had I known more about it and had more experience with it. That is this whole idea of the IC muscle training. People have said that the penis has two muscles, the BC muscle and the IC muscle. I don't know what they stand for. They're both abbreviated. You can look it up, but the idea is that the IC muscle has become inactive and the BC muscle is taking over and overcompensating for the IC muscle's inactivation. So every time you get an erection, or the reason why you have hard flaccid is because the BC muscle is like overworked and the IC muscle is doing nothing. And this is also why someone might get long flaccid, is the BC muscle is finally relaxed. But since the IC muscle is still weak and doing nothing, you get that long flaccid where it's just kind of drooping there. Sure, it's spongy, but there's like no strength to it. And so the IC method of approaching this is to do a reverse Kegel. And again, I'm not too familiar with this. I'm not going to speak on it too much because I've never done it myself. But the idea of a reverse Kegel is to relax the pelvic floor. It's essentially what people say is like pushing out a fart, or when you're going number 2, it's kind of like how you feel that area relax and kind of push down. I've never gotten into it because it's very hard, truthfully, to do. And this also came during a time when I was already fixing my hard flaccid. So I was already kind of out the door, but intuitively it looks very valid. I've seen a lot of people say they're getting results, they're improving a lot doing this method. There was a guy on the forum, his name was like U/Rob STTL, something like that. He was the guy who kind of pioneered this method. Now there's probably other guys talking about it, but I'm sure if you go on Reddit and just type in IC muscle activation or reverse Kegel method on one of the hard flaccid subreddits, you'll find this pop up. You'll probably find guides on it. Again, very valid take. It does seem like an approach that's harder than most of everything I listed here because it gets into that PT territory of trying to activate a muscle that's been inactive, which is very hard. You'll see very quickly how hard that is to do, to develop that mind muscle connection, to wake up a muscle that's been sleeping for so long. But I think, yeah, you can get good results off this. I would definitely give it a shot if I still had hard flaccid. So yeah, just want to throw that out there. Haven't had experience with this. Have seen a few success threads. Again, I think the Rob guy said he cured his hard flaccid, or maybe he was 80%. So yeah, it's not 100% cure, but I'm sure there's someone out there who got 100% cure off this method. Again, just intuitively, it makes a lot of sense and kind of lines up with all the values of physical therapy and stuff like that. So yeah, you guys definitely check that one out. All right, to close out, I first want to thank everyone who's made it this far in the video, and I want to applaud you for putting in the effort to completely absorb everything I put out. I think that you're going to be the ones who are going to cure this 100%. You guys are going to have the resolve to want to get your life back and give this all 110%. And that's all that I ask of you guys. Please give this 110% for 2 years, especially the Nofap thing, and you will see your body is miraculous at curing itself. When we're in this chronic state of pain or disease, we start to get discouraged and we start to forget how truly miraculous the body is. I'll never forget when I went to a naturopathic doctor one time, which was very expensive. It was like $500 just to see him for like 40 minutes. And he basically just told me to take vitamins and minerals. But I'll never forget this one thing he said, where it's easy for us to focus on that one thing in the body that's going wrong and forget about the billion processes that's going right every single second of every single day. And your body wants to return to that homeostasis. So never forget that. Keep that mind-body connection. Understand that you have to be in unison with it. You have to develop this strong self-awareness where you know the things that flare you up, you know what to avoid and what positions not to put yourself in, what food not to eat, what time to even go to bed. That, oh, if I stay up 2 hours past my bedtime, tomorrow is going to be a terrible day for me because I know that I'm just going to be flared up because of that lack of sleep. So give it your all, guys. Give it your all in every single aspect of this. Really be proactive about it. Really put in the work. And remember that those who cure themselves are the ones who want it bad enough. No one's coming to save you. Research coming out on this is very slow. For it to reach the clinical stage is going to take more and more years. Surgery is never going to be your answer, especially coming from doctors who want 5, 10K for it. They're not there to help you. They just found a niche in the market that they can capitalize on. So take measures in your own hand. Become your own doctor. Don't spend all day on internet forums. It's a toxic place. You're never going to get better conversing with others who are discouraged, who are hateful, who are arrogant, who think they're right about everything. It's just a toxic cesspool. Go there sometimes for research, for maybe motivation, find a success thread, but don't spend all day there. Those guys who spend all day there, they never improve. I think you guys get the message. Rewatch this video whenever you need help, whenever you need a reminder of what to do, and watch my video, The Brutal Truth on How to Cure Hard Flaccid and Prostatitis, if you want a video that really lights a fire under your butt and gets you to understand the severity of what you're doing to yourself by continuing to masturbate and how you'll never recover if you continue to masturbate. I'm going to quit rambling, and I love you guys. I want you guys to all make it. I want you guys to get over this condition. Maybe I'll see you next time. Peace.